Before we begin, a quick and important disclaimer. The information provided in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute professional marketing, legal, or financial advice. Business outcomes depend on various factors including market conditions, implementation, and individual effort. While we discuss historical trends and case studies, these are not indicators of future results. Every business is unique, and you should conduct your own due diligence or consult with a professional advisor before making significant changes to your marketing strategy or technical infrastructure. Most business owners today are operating with a massive, invisible leak in their marketing bucket, and they do not even realize it. They spend thousands of dollars on high-quality signage, beautiful product packaging, and premium business cards, only to watch potential customers walk away because of one simple, avoidable problem: friction. We live in an era where an 8-second attention span is considered generous. If you ask a customer to manually type a complex URL into their smartphone browser while standing on a busy street or sitting in a crowded cafe, you have already lost them. Historical trends in consumer behavior show that for every additional step or second of effort required to reach a digital destination, conversion rates drop significantly. This is the silent killer of the modern small business. But there is a tool that was once mocked as a relic of the past that has undergone the greatest comeback in technological history. If you think QR codes are just those ugly black and white squares from 2012 that nobody used, you are missing out on the single most effective bridge between the physical world and your digital profit. In this deep dive masterclass, we are going to dismantle the myths and show you exactly how to turn every physical touchpoint of your business into a high-speed lane for customer acquisition. To understand why this matters right now, we have to look at the data. For years, the QR code was a laughingstock in the United States. In the early 2010s, you needed a third-party app just to scan one. It was clunky, the mobile web was slow, and most businesses pointed their codes to websites that were not even mobile optimized. It was a recipe for failure. However, a massive shift occurred when smartphone manufacturers integrated QR scanning directly into the native camera app. Suddenly, the barrier to entry vanished. Recent case studies from the hospitality and retail sectors show that QR code usage has surged by over 750% in the last few years. This is not just a temporary fad. It is a fundamental shift in how the American consumer interacts with the world around them. People no longer want to search for you, they want to be transported to you instantly. If you are not providing that bridge, you are essentially putting up a digital wall between your product and your customer. Imagine a boutique fitness studio in Austin, Texas. They place a high-end vinyl banner on their front window. It looks great. It has their logo and a call to action that says, "Follow us on Instagram for daily workout tips and class schedules." Person walks by, sees the sign, and thinks that looks cool. But they are walking their dog, or they are on a phone call, or they are simply in a rush. The effort required to open Instagram: go to the search bar, type in the studio name, find the correct account among 5 similar-looking ones, and then hit follow is too high. The friction is too great. Now, imagine that same banner with a custom-branded QR code that takes them directly to the Instagram profile with one tap of the camera. The friction is gone. The conversion is instant. This is the difference between a static advertisement and a dynamic lead generation engine. Throughout this 10-part masterclass, we are going to explore the technical and psychological aspects of making this work for your specific business model. We are not just talking about sticking a code on a flyer and hoping for the best. We are going to dive into the difference between static and dynamic QR codes, a distinction that can mean the difference between a successful campaign and a total waste of printing costs. A static QR code is hard-coded. Once it is printed, that destination is permanent. If you change your website URL or your Instagram handle, that code becomes a broken link, a digital dead end that frustrates your customers. A dynamic QR code, however, acts as a flexible redirect. You can print it on 10,000 pizza boxes today, and if you want to change the destination from your Facebook page to a new seasonal menu next month, you can do it in the back end without ever changing the physical code. This level of control is what separates the amateurs from the professionals in the digital marketing space. We also need to address the aesthetic concern. Many business owners hesitate to use QR codes because they think they are ugly or that they ruin the design of their brand. This is a dated perspective. Modern technology allows for incredible customization. We are going to show you how to integrate your brand colors, incorporate your logo into the center of the code, and even use rounded pixels to match your brand's visual identity. A QR code does not have to be a clinical, industrial-looking square. It can be a seamless part of your graphic design that actually enhances the professional feel of your marketing materials. When a customer sees a well-branded, custom QR code, it signals that your business is tech-savvy, modern, and focused on providing a convenient user experience. The potential outcomes for businesses that master this are significant. We have seen case studies where local restaurants increased their Google review count by 40% in a single month, simply by placing a QR code on the bill presenter that linked directly to the review submission page. We have seen real estate agents generate higher quality leads by placing QR codes on for sale signs that took prospective buyers to a virtual 360-degree tour of the property, instead of just a generic listing page. The common thread in these success stories is the removal of steps. Every step you remove for your customer is a percentage point you add to your bottom line. In this first part of our guide, we are establishing the foundation. You need to stop viewing social media and your physical business as two separate entities. They are, or they should be, a single ecosystem. Your Instagram, your TikTok, your LinkedIn, and your YouTube channel are not just places to post content. They are the digital showrooms for your brand. The QR code is the door to those showrooms. If you leave the door locked or hidden, nobody comes in. If you make the door wide, bright, and easy to open, your traffic will reflect that effort. We will also be covering the vital importance of data and analytics. One of the biggest advantages of using dynamic QR codes is the ability to track every single scan. Traditional physical advertising has always been difficult to measure. If you put an ad in a local newspaper, how do you really know how many people saw it? How do you know which specific neighborhood or which specific edition drove the most traffic to your store? With tracked QR codes, that mystery disappears. You can see exactly how many people scanned your code, what time of day they scanned it, what type of device they were using, and even their general geographic location. This data allows you to make informed, logical decisions about where to spend your marketing budget. If the QR code on your flyers in the north side of town is getting 5 times the scans as the one on the south side, you know exactly where your expansion efforts should be focused. This masterclass is designed to take you from a complete beginner to a strategic expert. We are going to look at the psychology of the scan, exploring why certain calls to action work better than others. We will discuss the concept of the value exchange. Why should a customer scan your code? What is in it for them? Whether it is a discount code, exclusive content, or simply the convenience of a digital menu, we will show you how to frame your QR codes as a benefit to the customer rather than a chore for them to perform. By the end of this series, you will have a comprehensive roadmap for integrating social media QR codes into every facet of your business operations, creating a frictionless path from the physical world to your digital community. We are going to solve the problem of the disconnected customer once and for all. Let us begin by breaking down the specific types of QR codes and which ones are right for your unique business goals. To master the use of social media QR codes in 2026, you must first understand the technical architecture of the two primary categories, static and dynamic codes. Choosing the wrong one is the fastest way to turn a high-budget marketing campaign into a technical nightmare. Historical trends show that thousands of businesses in the early 2020s made the mistake of using static codes for permanent physical assets, only to find themselves with thousands of dollars in useless printed materials once a single URL changed. Let us start with static QR codes. A static code has the destination URL encoded directly into the pixel pattern. Think of it like a stone carving. Once it is made, it cannot be changed. If you generate a static QR code that points to your current TikTok profile, and you decide to change your username 6 months from now, that QR code is dead. It will lead to a 404 error page. Imagine a business owner named Sarah who runs a specialized bakery in Seattle. In early 2026, she spends $3,000 on custom embossed, eco-friendly packaging for her artisanal cookies. She includes a static QR code on every box that links to her Instagram. 2 months later, her account is compromised, or she decides to rebrand her social handle to better reflect her expanding product line. Because she used a static code, every single one of those premium boxes is now a liability. She has to either stick with an outdated handle or accept that her customers will face a broken link. This is why, in a professional masterclass, we almost never recommend static codes for social media marketing. Dynamic QR codes are the industry standard for any serious business operation in 2026. A dynamic code does not point directly to your social media profile. Instead, it points to a short redirect URL hosted by a QR management service. When a customer scans the code, their phone hits that intermediate link, which then instantly forwards them to your actual destination. This redirect happens in milliseconds, making it invisible to the user. The power of this system is that the destination can be changed at any time in the backend, without ever changing the physical code. Take the case of Marcus, a high-end real estate developer in Miami. Marcus uses dynamic QR codes on his property banners throughout the city. During the pre-construction phase, the code points to a cinematic YouTube trailer of the project. Once the foundation is poured, he updates the link in his dashboard to a 360-degree virtual tour on Instagram. When the building is finished, he changes it again to a direct contact form on LinkedIn for commercial leasing. Marcus never had to send a crew out to replace a single sign. He simply managed his digital assets from his laptop. This flexibility is what allows a business to stay agile in a fast-moving market. Furthermore, dynamic codes provide the granular data that is essential for a viral US channel or a growing brand. In 2026, data is the most valuable currency. A dynamic code allows you to see exactly when someone scanned, what city they were in, and whether they were using an iOS or Android device. Historical trends in the retail sector indicate that businesses using data-tracked QR codes see a 22% higher return on investment because they can optimize their physical placements based on real-world performance. If you find that the QR codes on your storefront windows are getting massive engagement on Friday nights but zero on Monday mornings, you can adjust your social media content strategy to post high-energy, weekend-focused reels exactly when those physical scans are peaking. Now, let us get into the step-by-step logic of creating a social media QR code that actually converts. Most people think you just grab a link and hit generate. That is a mistake. Step 1 is choosing the right destination for the specific context. If a customer is standing in your store, they are in a different mindset than someone seeing your flyer at a bus stop. For in-store scans, your goal might be long-term retention, so you link to your TikTok where you show behind-the-scenes content. For transit ads, you might want immediate action, so you link to a YouTube video that explains your product in 60 seconds. Step 2 is the implementation of deep linking. This is a critical technical detail that many businesses overlook. When a standard URL is scanned, a smartphone will often open that link in its built-in browser, like Safari or Chrome. The problem is that most users are not logged into their social media accounts on their mobile browsers. They are logged in through the apps. If your QR code takes a user to a browser version of your Instagram page, they cannot hit the follow button or leave a comment without manually logging in. Most will simply close the window. To prevent this, professional-grade QR generators use deep links that force the smartphone to open the specific social media app directly. This ensures the user is already logged in and ready to engage with one tap. Case studies from 2025 show that using deep-linked QR codes increases follow rates by up to 300% compared to standard web links. Step 3 involves the aesthetic and functional testing of the code. In 2026, hardware has improved, but you still have to account for different lighting conditions and camera qualities. A common error is creating a code with too much data, which makes the pixel pattern too dense and difficult for older phone models to read from a distance. By using dynamic codes with short redirect URLs, you keep the pixel pattern simple and easy to scan. You also need to ensure high contrast. While we can customize colors, the code must always be significantly darker than the background. A light gray code on a white background might look sleek to a designer, but in the harsh afternoon sun of a California storefront, it will be unreadable. Imagine a fitness influencer named David, who is launching a new supplement line. He places QR codes on the back of his branded gym t-shirts. Because these codes will be moving and potentially wrinkled, he uses a high correction level in his QR settings. QR codes have built-in error correction, which means that even if up to 30% of the code is obscured or damaged, it can still be read. By selecting a high error correction level, David ensures that even when he is mid-sprint or his shirt is folded, a fan can still scan his back and be taken directly to his latest YouTube supplement review. The potential outcomes of choosing the right type of code and destination are immense. We are seeing a trend in 2026 where businesses are moving away from generic Linktree-style landing pages in favor of highly specific, high-intent destinations. Instead of one code that leads to 5 different social links, they are using 5 different codes, each tailored to a specific physical location or customer journey. This creates a hyper-personalized experience that feels less like a marketing gimmick and more like a helpful service. As we move forward in this masterclass, you must realize that the technical setup is only half the battle. You can have the most advanced dynamic, deep-linked, high-correction code in the world, but if it looks like a boring government document, nobody is going to pull their phone out to scan it. The visual design and the psychological trigger are what actually drive the action. Most businesses are still using the standard black and white box because they are afraid of breaking the functionality, but they are leaving money on the table. What if your QR code could actually look like your brand? What if it could be an invitation rather than just a tool? In the next part, we are going to dive deep into the design secrets of the world's most successful brands. We will discuss how to manipulate the quiet zone, how to integrate logos without ruining scannability, and the exact color psychology that increases scan rates by over 40%. If you want to stop being a background noise and start being a digital destination, you cannot afford to miss how we turn these technical squares into visual magnets. We are moving from the back-end logic to the front-end attraction, and the results of this shift are where the real growth begins. To move from a technical utility to a visual magnet, we must address the aesthetic barrier. In 2026, the standard black and white grid is often perceived by consumers as institutional or even suspicious. If your marketing materials are sleek, modern, and high-end, a generic QR code can act as a visual speed bump that disrupts the flow of your brand identity. The goal is to make the code feel like an intentional design element, rather than an afterthought. This begins with the technical foundation of error correction. Every QR code has a built-in redundancy system, known as Reed-Solomon error correction. This is the mathematical magic that allows a code to remain functional, even if parts of it are obscured, dirty, or replaced by a logo. There are 4 levels: L for 7%, M for 15%, Q for 25%, and H for 30%. For a professional social media QR code, we almost always utilize level H. By setting your code to 30% error correction, you unlock the ability to place a high-resolution logo directly in the center of the square without breaking the data link. Imagine a fitness apparel brand in Los Angeles called Zenith Active. In early 2026, they launched a line of compression gear. Instead of a bulky hang tag with paragraphs of text, they printed a custom QR code directly onto the interior neck label. This code was not a boring square. It featured the Zenith logo, a stylized mountain peak, right in the center. The pixels of the code were rounded to match the curves of their typography, and the color was a deep charcoal that complemented the fabric. Because they used level H error correction, the logo did not interfere with the scannability. Customers could finish a workout, scan the tag, and be taken directly to a YouTube playlist of recovery stretches specifically designed for that garment. The result was a seamless blend of product and digital value that felt premium and purposeful. When we talk about color psychology, the rules of high-contrast marketing are non-negotiable. While you can move away from black and white, you must maintain a significant contrast ratio. In the world of 2026 mobile optics, cameras are better than ever, but they still rely on detecting the difference between the light background and the dark foreground pixels. Historical trends in conversion optimization show that using your primary brand color for the QR code can increase scan rates by up to 40% simply because it looks more trustworthy and integrated. However, you must avoid light colors like yellow, pastel pink, or light gray for the foreground pixels. If the contrast is too low, the scanning software will struggle to distinguish the data modules from the background, especially in outdoor environments with glare. A case study from a Florida-based tourism board showed that when they switched their outdoor signage from a low-contrast teal code to a high-contrast deep navy code, the successful scan completion rate jumped by 65% during peak daylight hours. Next, we must consider the eyes of the QR code. These are the 3 large squares in the corners that allow the smartphone camera to orient the image. In 2026, professional designers are no longer stuck with square eyes. You can customize the inner and outer shapes of these position detection patterns. You can make them circular, diamond-shaped, or even hexagonal. This subtle change can completely transform the vibe of the code. A creative agency in New York recently worked with a high-end fragrance line to create QR codes for their magazine spreads. They used circular eyes and a custom pixel shape that resembled small droplets. To the casual observer, it looked like a piece of abstract art, but to a smartphone, it was a perfectly functional portal to a cinematic behind-the-scenes video of the fragrance's creation. A critical design element that often gets ignored is the quiet zone. This is the empty margin of space that surrounds the entire QR code. Many designers, in an attempt to save space or make the code larger, will crowd the quiet zone with text, borders, or other graphics. This is a fatal mistake. The quiet zone is what tells the scanning software where the code begins and ends. If you encroach on this space, the camera will often fail to lock onto the code. In our 2026 design standards, we recommend a quiet zone that is at least 4 times the width of a single data module. If you want to put a frame around your code, ensure the frame sits outside this quiet zone. Speaking of frames, this is where the psychology of the scan truly takes flight. A naked QR code is a mystery. A framed QR code is a call to action. In the United States, we have seen a massive shift in how people interact with physical-to-digital bridges. People are no longer scanning just to see where it goes. They are scanning because they expect a specific reward. By adding a frame with a clear text prompt, you manage expectations and drive intent. For example, instead of just a code, use a frame that says "Scan to see today's menu" or "Follow for exclusive drops." A fashion retailer in Chicago, led by a manager named Sarah, implemented this in early 2026. She placed QR codes on the mirrors of the fitting rooms. Initially, they were just codes. The scan rate was negligible. When she added a branded frame that said "Scan to see how others styled this piece on TikTok," the engagement skyrocketed. The frame provided the why and the code provided the how. We also have to discuss the physical material upon which these codes are placed. In 2026, we are printing on everything from sustainable bamboo to recycled glass. Each material interacts with light differently. If you are placing a QR code on a glossy surface, such as a window or a laminated menu, you have to account for specular reflection. If a bright light reflects off the glossy surface directly into the camera lens, it can wash out the pixels of the code. Case studies in the automotive industry, where codes are often placed on car windows, show that using a matte finish for the QR code sticker significantly improves scan reliability in direct sunlight. If you are printing on a curved surface like a bottle or a can, the code should be smaller and placed vertically to minimize distortion. If the code wraps too far around the curve, the camera cannot see all 3 eyes simultaneously, and the scan will fail. Imagine a small-scale organic juice company in Oregon. They wanted to use QR codes on their glass bottles to link to a YouTube series about their sourcing process. They initially tried a large, horizontal code, but the curvature of the glass made it impossible to scan without rotating the bottle. By switching to a smaller, more densely packed dynamic code placed on a flat section of the label with a matte finish, they ensured that any customer could scan the bottle with one hand while standing in a grocery aisle. This attention to the physical reality of the customer experience is what separates successful digital integration from a frustrating technical gimmick. As we refine these visual magnets, we are setting the stage for the most important part of the entire process. You have the technical structure, you have the visual attraction, and you have the data tracking. But even the most beautiful QR code in the world is useless if the person scanning it does not know what to do once they arrive at the destination. We are entering an era of hyper-competition for attention. The bridge you have built is only as good as the destination it leads to. What happens in the first 3 seconds after someone scans your code? How do you ensure that a scan turns into a follower, a customer, or a brand advocate? In the next part, we are going to dive into the high-stakes world of destination optimization. We will talk about the landing page psychology that prevents bounce rates, the specific social media triggers that encourage immediate follows, and the one mistake that is currently costing American businesses millions of dollars in lost engagement. The scan is just the handshake. The destination is the conversation. Are you ready to make sure you have something worth saying? The handshake is over. The camera has clicked. The phone is loading. This is the precise moment where most businesses lose the lead they worked so hard to capture. In 2026, we call this the valley of death for mobile marketing. If your landing page or social media destination takes more than 1.5 seconds to load over a standard 5G connection, your bounce rate will exceed 60%. This is not a guess. It is a documented historical trend established by millions of data points across the US retail landscape. If you are sending someone to a heavy, desktop-oriented website through a QR code, you are effectively telling them that their time is not valuable. Imagine a consumer named Chloe who is shopping in a high-end boutique in Nashville. She sees a beautifully designed QR code on a dress tag that says "Scan to see this in motion." Chloe is excited. She wants to see how the fabric moves, how it looks on a real person, and how others have styled it. She scans the code. If that code takes her to the store's generic homepage, her excitement evaporates instantly. Now she has to find the search bar, type in the product name, navigate through categories, and hope she finds the right video. She will not do it. She will put the phone away, and likely she will put the dress back on the rack. The friction of the digital journey killed the physical sale. Now imagine the alternative. Chloe scans the same code, and through the power of deep linking, her phone instantly opens the TikTok app to a specific, high-energy video of a local influencer wearing that exact dress at a Nashville landmark. The load time is near zero because the app is already on her phone. She sees the movement, she sees the lifestyle, and she sees the social proof in the comment section. The potential outcome here is a seamless transition from curiosity to a purchase. This is the 2026 standard for destination optimization. You are not just linking to a profile, you are linking to a specific, contextually relevant experience. To achieve this, you must understand the psychology of the landing environment. When a user scans a QR code, they are in a state of high intent. They have physically moved their body and their device to engage with you. You must reward that effort with immediate relevance. One of the biggest mistakes we see in the American market is the use of what we call the digital junk drawer. This is a landing page, often a basic link in bio tool, that features 12 different buttons for 12 different social platforms. While these tools have their place, they often suffer from the paradox of choice. When you give a user too many options, they often choose none. A case study from a national fitness chain in early 2026 revealed that when they replaced their multi-link landing page with a single-purpose, high-intent destination, their conversion rate on new memberships increased by 34%. Instead of asking the user to choose between Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, they looked at where the scan was happening. Codes in the weight room led directly to a YouTube playlist of exercise tutorials. Codes at the front desk led to a Google review page. The destination was dictated by the location of the scan. This is the level of detail required for a masterclass strategy. Let us talk about visual continuity. The transition from the physical world to the digital screen must be jarring-free. If your physical QR code is part of a high-end, minimalist flyer with a specific color palette and font, the landing page or social profile the user hits should share those exact visual cues. In 2026, user trust is fragile. If a user scans a professional-looking code and lands on a messy, unbranded page, their subconscious triggers a security warning. They feel like they have been bait and shifted. This is why custom-branded social media landing pages are becoming the standard for US businesses. You can use tools that allow you to wrap your social feeds in a branded skin, ensuring that the fonts, colors, and logos remain consistent from the moment of the scan to the moment of the follow. We also need to address the deep linking technicality more deeply. This is the single biggest technical hurdle. Most standard QR generators create a link that opens in the in-app browser of the scanner. For example, if someone scans your code using a third-party scanner or even some older native cameras, the link might open in a shell browser. This browser is not logged into Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. When the user hits the follow button, the platform asks them to log in. In 2026, almost no one remembers their social media passwords. They rely on biometric saved logins within the apps themselves. Asking for a manual login is a guaranteed way to end the session. Your destination must use a protocol that forces the native app to open. This is often achieved through specific URL schemes or specialized mobile linking platforms. Consider a service-based business, such as a high-end plumbing and HVAC company in Phoenix named Desert Cool. The owner, Jason, realizes that trust is his biggest barrier to entry. He places QR codes on the side of his service vans and on the uniforms of his technicians. But he doesn't just link to his website. He links to a YouTube video where he personally introduces himself and explains the company's transparent pricing model. Because he uses deep linking, the video opens in the YouTube app, allowing the customer to see his thousands of subscribers and positive comments. This immediate transfer of social proof, delivered in a frictionless way, is why Jason's lead-to-close ratio is 20% higher than his competitors. He isn't just giving them a phone number, he is giving them a reason to trust him before he even knocks on the door. Another critical factor is the call to value. Every destination should have a clear primary action you want the user to take, and that action must be supported by a value proposition. In the historical trends of 2024 and 2025, we saw a decline in the effectiveness of follow us on social media. In 2026, that is no longer enough. The user wants to know what they get for that follow. Your landing page should clearly state the benefit. For example, follow for weekly 10-minute recipes, or scan for 15% off your next order via our Instagram DM. By attaching a tangible or informational benefit to the digital action, you significantly increase the likelihood of conversion. We must also discuss the role of video in destination optimization. Data shows that users who arrive at a destination via a QR code are 50% more likely to watch a video than they are to read a paragraph of text. They are already in a mobile consumption mindset. Therefore, your destination should ideally lead to video content. Whether it is a YouTube short, an Instagram reel, or a personalized greeting on a custom landing page, video bridges the gap between the physical and digital world more effectively than any other medium. It humanizes the brand instantly. As we look toward the data side of these destinations, remember that every interaction is a learning opportunity. If your data shows that people are scanning your codes but leaving the landing page within 3 seconds, you have a relevance problem. The promise made by the physical sign is not being kept by the digital destination. You must constantly iterate. This brings us to a pivotal realization. The destination is not a static endpoint. It is part of a broader ecosystem. You have successfully moved a physical person into your digital world, but how do you keep them there? How do you ensure that they don't just scan, watch, and forget? In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to explore the specific, platform-by-platform strategies for Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We will look at how to set up your profile specifically for QR code traffic, the secret to the 5-second profile audit, and how to turn a one-time scanner into a long-term brand advocate. The journey is just getting started, and the way you structure your social profiles will determine if those scans turn into real-world revenue. The transition from a physical scan to a digital profile is where the true salesmanship of your business begins. If your QR code is the high-speed lane, your social media profile is the destination terminal. In 2026, the American consumer is more discerning than ever. They can sniff out a generic, unoptimized profile in milliseconds. To maximize the potential outcomes of your QR campaigns, you must treat your social media profiles not as a chronological feed of your life, but as a strategically mapped welcome mat designed for the mobile visitor. Historical trends in 2025 showed that businesses that treated their profiles as standalone landing pages saw a 45% higher engagement rate from QR traffic compared to those who simply linked to their latest post. Let us look at the case of Jordan, who owns a high-volume artisanal coffee shop in Denver. In 2026, Jordan realized that his Instagram profile was his most effective digital storefront. He didn't just link his coffee sleeves to his homepage. Instead, he used a deep-linked QR code that landed users directly on his Instagram profile with a specific pinned post strategy. When a customer scans the code while waiting for their latte, the first 3 posts they see are not random photos of beans. The first post is a high-energy video explaining the loyalty program. The second is a behind-the-scenes look at the local farmers who grow their beans, building immediate brand trust. The third is a current seasonal menu with a clear call to action to order ahead for their next visit. By pinning these 3 specific pieces of content, Jordan ensures that every person who enters his digital ecosystem via a physical scan is immediately greeted with high-value, relevant information. Imagine if you walked into a physical store, and the manager just pointed at a pile of random items on the floor and said, "Find what you need." That is exactly what you are doing when you send a QR scanner to an unorganized Instagram or TikTok feed. For Instagram specifically, you must optimize your story highlights. In 2026, the highlight reels act as the navigation menu for your mobile website. You should have a highlight specifically titled "Start Here" or "New." Scan Me that provides a 15-second overview of what your business does and why the user should hit the follow button. Data from a 2025 case study of a boutique hotel in Charleston showed that visitors who viewed a "Start Here" highlight within the first minute of scanning a QR code were 3 times more likely to book a return stay via the Instagram app. Moving to TikTok, the strategy shifts toward immediacy and energy. TikTok users who arrive via a QR code are looking for a specific vibe or a quick solution. Let us look at the case of Taylor, a fashion designer in New York City who uses QR codes on wheat paste posters throughout Manhattan. Taylor knows that a TikTok user has a shorter attention span than an Instagram user. Her QR code doesn't just go to her profile. It goes to a specific pinned video that features a high-impact transition showing her latest collection. Beneath that video, the comment section is already filled with links to her shop and answers to frequently asked questions about sizing. Taylor uses TikTok's search engine optimization or SEO by including keywords like sustainable fashion NYC and 2026 style trends in her profile bio. This ensures that when a user scans her code and lands on her profile, the TikTok algorithm immediately understands who this user is and begins serving them more of Taylor's content in their For You page later that day. This creates a retention loop that is far more powerful than a simple one-time scan. For businesses that rely on long-form authority, such as consulting, construction, or specialized retail, YouTube is the 2026 trust engine. Let us examine Alex, a real estate agent in Phoenix. Alex places QR codes on his for sale signs that point directly to his YouTube channel. However, he doesn't just send them to the Home tab. He uses a channel trailer specifically designed for QR scanners. This 2-minute video introduces Alex, shows his track record of sales in the Phoenix area, and offers a free guide on the current mortgage trends in 2026. Because Alex is sending traffic from a physical location, a specific house, to a digital one, he uses a QR-specific landing video for each listing. The potential outcome of this strategy is a lead that feels they already know and trust the agent before they even schedule a walkthrough. Historical trends show that video-first lead generation results in a 20% higher closing rate, because the medium allows for a more authentic connection than text or static images. A critical component of this optimization is the 5-second profile audit. If a stranger who knows nothing about your business scans your code and looks at your profile, can they answer 3 questions within 5 seconds? What do you sell? Why should I trust you? What do I do next? If your bio is cluttered with inside jokes or vague mission statements, you are failing the audit. In 2026, your bio should be a conversion-focused map. Use clear professional language. For example, high-performance supplements for athletes. Over 50,000 satisfied customers. Tap the link below for your first-time discount. This directness is what the U.S. consumer expects in a fast-paced digital economy. Furthermore, let us discuss direct message automation. One of the most advanced strategies we are seeing in 2026 involves using QR codes to trigger an automated DM conversation. Imagine a customer scans a code at a car dealership. Instead of just landing on the Instagram profile, the code triggers a link that opens a DM window with a pre-filled message like, "I'd like to see the 2026 inventory for SUVs." An automated bot then instantly replies with a link to the latest arrivals and a calendar to book a test drive. This moves the customer from the awareness stage to the consideration stage in under 10 seconds. This is the ultimate removal of friction. You aren't just giving them information. You are starting a dialogue. The data side of this profile optimization cannot be ignored. Both Instagram and TikTok provide robust analytics that show you exactly where your profile views are coming from. By using UTM parameters or specific short links in your QR codes, you can see which physical locations are driving the most profile visits. If a QR code in your East Side store is driving 100 profile visits a week, but only 2 follows, you know the disconnect is in your profile's first impression. If a code in your West Side store is driving 10 visits but 5 follows, you have found a high-intent audience that you need to double down on. The potential outcomes for businesses that master this digital-to-physical bridge are profound. We are moving away from the era of hope marketing and into the era of precision engagement. You are no longer just putting your brand out there. You are creating a funnel that begins in the physical world and ends in your digital checkout. But even with a perfect profile and a perfect destination, there is one final piece of the puzzle that most American businesses forget. You have the scan, you have the follow, you have the data, but how do you make that customer come back without you having to spend another dollar on advertising? How do you turn a single digital handshake into a recurring revenue stream that grows on autopilot? In the next part, we are going to dive into the secret of the QR retargeting loop. We will explore how to use the data from your scans to build custom audiences for digital ads, how to integrate QR codes into your email marketing for a multi-channel attack, and the specific psychological tricks that make a customer feel like they are part of an exclusive club every time they scan your code. If you want to move from a one-hit wonder to a legacy brand, the next chapter is where we build the engine of long-term growth. To build the engine of long-term growth, you must look past the initial scan and recognize that a QR code is not just a link. It is a tracking beacon. In the competitive landscape of 2026, the most successful US brands are no longer treating QR codes as one-off interactions. Instead, they are using them to fuel a sophisticated retargeting loop that keeps the brand at the forefront of the consumer's digital life, long after they have walked away from the physical touchpoint. This is achieved through the technical implementation of a bridge page or a redirect trigger. When a customer scans your dynamic QR code, they should not be sent directly to a social media platform. Instead, they hit a lightning-fast intermediate URL that you own. In the few milliseconds it takes for that page to redirect to Instagram or YouTube, your server fires a tracking pixel. This allows you to tag that specific user as someone who has physically interacted with your brand in the real world. Historical trends in digital advertising show that the cost of reaching a cold audience is significantly higher than reaching a warm audience. By using QR codes to build a custom audience, you are effectively creating a pool of the warmest leads possible. Imagine a business owner named Ethan who runs a high-end furniture showroom in Dallas. In 2026, Ethan places specific QR codes on different furniture collections. One code is on the mid-century modern sofas, and another is on the industrial dining tables. When a customer named Maria scans the sofa code to see a video of the manufacturing process, Ethan's system tags her as interested in mid-century furniture. Even if Maria doesn't buy anything that day and doesn't follow the Instagram account immediately, Ethan can now run highly targeted, low-cost social media ads specifically for his mid-century collection that will appear in Maria's feed later that evening. The potential outcome here is a significantly higher conversion rate, because the ad is perfectly aligned with the physical action Maria took just hours before. This transition from third-party data to first-party data is the defining shift of the 2026 marketing era. As privacy regulations have tightened across the United States, the ability to track users across different websites has diminished. However, a QR scan is a voluntary first-party interaction. When a user scans your code, they are providing you with a direct signal of intent. You must treat this data with the respect it deserves by integrating it directly into your customer relationship management or CRM system. For example, a professional service provider like a law firm or an accounting practice can use a scan-to-subscribe model. Instead of a generic QR code, they use one that leads to a mobile-optimized landing page offering a free digital guide to 2026 tax changes. Once the user enters their email to receive the guide, the QR code has successfully moved a random passerby into a permanent, owned marketing channel. Let us explore the psychology of exclusivity that turns a simple scan into a recurring habit. In the US market, consumers are increasingly drawn to the concept of the inside track. Case studies from the streetwear and hospitality industries in 2025 demonstrate that QR codes used as keys to gated content have a 50% higher scan-to-retention rate than those offering public information. Imagine a high-end restaurant in San Francisco named the Azure Lounge. The owner, Marcus, places a discreet, beautifully etched metal QR code on the corner of each table. The frame around the code simply says, "The secret menu." When a guest scans it, they are taken to a hidden YouTube short where the head chef explains a dish that isn't on the printed menu. To order the dish, the guest has to show the video to their server. This creates a gamified experience that the guest is likely to share on their own social media, creating an organic viral loop. More importantly, it makes the guest feel like part of an exclusive club, which is the cornerstone of brand loyalty in 2026. To implement this on a technical level, you must understand the step-by-step process of setting up a redirect trigger. First, you select a dynamic QR code provider that allows for custom domain masking. This ensures that the URL the user sees for a split second is yourbrand.com/scan, rather than a generic third-party link. Second, you install your Metapixel Google tag and TikTok pixel on that redirect page. Third, you categorize your codes. Do not use one pixel for every code in your business. Use different tags for different locations or products. This allows for the granular retargeting we discussed earlier. If you are a gym owner, a scan on the treadmill should trigger a different retargeting ad than a scan in the juice bar. One should see ads for long-distance running shoes, while the other sees ads for protein powder. The data gathered from these loops also allows for a more logical distribution of your physical marketing budget. In 2026, we utilize what is known as a scan heat map. By looking at the analytics of your dynamic codes, you can see which physical locations are underperforming. If you have flyers with QR codes in 10 different coffee shops across Brooklyn, but 3 of those shops have 0 scans over a 30-day period, you can immediately stop spending money on those locations and reallocate those resources to the high-performing spots. This is the first time in marketing history that physical out-of-home advertising has been as measurable as a digital banner ad. Furthermore, we must consider the multi-channel attack. A QR code should not be an island. It should be a bridge to a larger ecosystem. Once a user scans and enters your retargeting loop, you can use that data to trigger an automated SMS or email sequence if they have opted in. For instance, a real estate agency in Miami could use a QR code on a property brochure. Once scanned, the system tracks that the user viewed the 2026 luxury condo list. If that user is also on the agency's email list, the system can automatically send a personalized email 24 hours later with similar listings in that specific neighborhood. This level of automation ensures that no lead is ever left to go cold. It creates a sense of professional persistence that the U.S. consumer associates with high-value brands. Imagine if your physical marketing could talk back to you. Imagine if every flyer, every business card, and every storefront window was constantly sending you data about who your customers are and what they want. That is the reality of the QR retargeting loop in 2026. You are no longer shouting into the void. You are engaging in a data-driven conversation. But as powerful as these digital loops are, they all depend on one thing: getting the person to scan the code in the first place. You can have the most advanced retargeting engine in the world, but it stays idle if your physical placement is flawed. How do you ensure that your QR code is seen in the first place? What are the specific rules of physical psychology that dictate whether a person ignores your sign or reaches for their phone? In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into the high-stakes world of physical placement and the line of sight rule. We will discuss the exact height, lighting, and environmental factors that increase scan rates by 300%, and the one common placement mistake that is currently making your codes invisible to the naked eye. We are moving from the digital back-end to the physical reality of the American street, and the rules of engagement are about to change. The rules of engagement in the physical world are governed by physics, biology, and the subtle psychology of the American street. You can have a digital funnel that is optimized for world-class conversion, but if your physical QR code is placed in a way that defies the natural movement of the human body, your scan rate will plummet to zero. In 2026, we are seeing a massive divide between businesses that understand the line of sight rule and those that are simply sticking stickers on random surfaces. Historical trends suggest that QR codes placed between 4.5 and 5.5 feet from the ground, the average eye level for a standing adult in the United States, perform nearly 300% better than those placed at waist level or above the head. Imagine a business owner named Samantha who runs a high-end pet grooming salon in suburban Atlanta. In early 2026, Samantha decided to use QR codes to drive traffic to her YouTube channel, where she shares grooming tips. She initially placed the codes on the bottom corner of her front window, about 3 feet off the ground. For 3 weeks, she saw almost no traffic. The potential outcome she expected was a surge in digital engagement, but the reality was a silent dashboard. The reason was simple: people don't like to crouch. Scanning a code should be an effortless extension of a natural movement. When Samantha moved the codes to eye level on the door handle side of the entrance, her scan rate tripled overnight. People were already reaching for the door. Their eyes were already at that height. This is the line of sight rule in action. However, height is only one part of the equation. We must also discuss the 10-to-1 ratio, which is the gold standard for QR code sizing in 2026. This rule states that the distance between the person and the code should be no more than 10 times the width of the code itself. If a customer is standing 1 foot away from a flyer, a 1-inch QR code is perfectly fine. But if you are placing a QR code on a billboard in Times Square or along a highway in Texas, the math changes drastically. If your target audience is 50 feet away, that QR code needs to be at least 5 feet wide to be recognized by a standard smartphone camera sensor. Case studies from national automotive brands in 2025 showed that billboard QR codes failed 90% of the time because the designers ignored this ratio, resulting in a code that looked like a blurry to the average driver or pedestrian. Let us dive into the technical physics of lighting and glare, which remains the #1 killer of scan reliability. In 2026, even though smartphone cameras have advanced significantly, they still rely on detecting high-contrast boundaries between the light and dark modules of the code. Specular reflection, the mirror-like reflection of light from a surface, can wash out the entire code. Imagine a restaurant owner in Miami named Carlos. He prints his social media QR codes on high-gloss laminated menus. During the lunch rush, the intense Florida sun hits those menus at an angle that creates a blinding white glare. To the human eye, the code is visible, but to the CMOS sensor in a smartphone, it is a white void. Carlos solved this by switching to a matte finish vinyl sticker. Matte surfaces diffuse light, allowing the camera to see the distinct edges of the pixels regardless of the sun's position. Historical trends in the hospitality sector indicate that matte finishes increase scan success rates in outdoor or high-glare environments by over 50%. We also need to consider the environment of the scan. There is a psychological state we call the wait state. This is when a person is physically still and mentally bored. This is the highest converting moment for a QR code. Putting a QR code on a moving bus in a high-speed lane is a low-probability move. But putting a QR code on the back of a seat in a bus, or on a poster at the bus stop where people are waiting for 10 minutes, is a high probability move. Imagine a commuter in Chicago named Marcus. He sees a QR code on the side of a moving delivery truck. He has to pull out his phone, unlock it, open the camera, and steady his hand while the truck is vibrating and moving away. The friction is too high. Now imagine Marcus is in an elevator in a downtown office building. He has 30 seconds of downtime. He sees a QR code that says, "Watch the 60-second market update for Chicago real estate." He is in the wait state. He is a captive audience. The scan is almost a reflex. In 2026, the potential outcomes for QR codes placed in elevators, transit stations, and doctors' waiting rooms are significantly higher than those placed in high-traffic, high-speed zones. Distance is not just about the size of the code, it is about the focus capability of the lens. Most smartphones in 2026 have a minimum focus distance. If you make your QR code too small and place it in a way that requires the user to get within 2 inches of the surface, the camera might not be able to lock on. This is particularly problematic for product packaging. A case study from a boutique skincare line in Seattle showed that by increasing the QR code size on their bottles from half an inch to 0.75 inches, they eliminated the focus hunting issue that was frustrating their customers. They also ensured that the code was placed on the flattest part of the bottle to avoid the curvature distortion we discussed in previous parts. Furthermore, we must address the concept of the scan zone. This is the physical space around the code that must be clear of obstructions. If you place a QR code behind a glass partition that has heavy tinting or security wire embedded in it, you are adding layers of digital noise that the phone must filter out. If you place a code near a powerful magnetic field or high-frequency electronic interference, although rare, it can occasionally affect the sensor's ability to stabilize. But more commonly, the issue is simply dirt. In the United States, outdoor signage is subject to the elements. A QR code covered in road salt in a New York winter or dust in an Arizona summer will not scan. Business owners must treat their QR codes like any other piece of high-value equipment. They require a basic level of maintenance. A simple wipe down once a week can be the difference between a lead captured and a lead lost. Another advanced placement strategy involves the use of negative space. In 2026, the most visually striking marketing materials use the QR code as a focal point rather than a corner dweller. By surrounding the code with a significant amount of white space, you are signaling to the human brain that this object is important. It draws the eye and makes the call to action feel more urgent. Think of it like a piece of art in a gallery. The space around the art is what makes you look at the art. This is the opposite of what most businesses do, which is trying to cram the code into a crowded design filled with text and logos. As we master the physical placement, we must also confront the growing concern of the American public regarding security. In 2026, consumers are more aware of digital threats than ever before. There is a rising fear of malicious QR codes, often called caching. If your QR code looks like a cheap sticker slapped over another sign, people will be afraid to scan it. They worry that it might lead to a phishing site or a malware download. To overcome this, your placement must scream legitimacy and trust. How do you make a customer feel 100% safe before they ever point their camera at your code? How do you distinguish your professional business bridge from a malicious trap? In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into the critical world of QR security and trust signaling. We will talk about the 2026 standards for verified codes, how to use custom domains to prove identity, and the specific visual cues that tell a customer your link is safe to follow. If you don't win the trust battle, the placement battle doesn't matter. We are about to learn how to build a digital fortress around your physical pixels. Winning the trust battle in 2026 requires a multi-layered approach that addresses both the physical and digital insecurities of the modern American consumer. We are currently living in an era where caching or QR code phishing has become a mainstream concern, cited in numerous cybersecurity reports as a top-tier threat to mobile users. Historical trends from 2024 and 2025 showed a significant rise in malicious actors placing fraudulent stickers over legitimate QR codes in high-traffic areas like parking meters, public transit hubs, and outdoor dining tables. Because of this, the 2026 consumer is naturally hesitant. They are looking for visual and technical cues that confirm your code is a safe bridge to a legitimate business. If you fail to provide these signals, you are not just losing a scan, you are damaging your brand reputation. The first layer of building this digital fortress is physical integrity. This is the concept that the QR code must look like an inseparable part of your marketing material. Imagine a business owner named Robert who runs a regional insurance agency in Charlotte, North Carolina. In early 2026, Robert wanted to use QR codes on his community flyers to lead potential clients to a YouTube series explaining the latest changes in 2026 property insurance regulations. Initially, he printed generic flyers and hand-applied QR code stickers to the bottom. The scan rate was abysmally low. To a suspicious passerby, a sticker looks like something that could have been placed there by anyone. It looks temporary, unofficial, and dangerous. When Robert shifted to professionally printed cardstock where the QR code was integrated directly into the graphic design, his engagement increased by over 40%. The potential outcome of integrated design is an immediate psychological bypass of the stranger danger reflex. It signals that this code was vetted by the creator of the advertisement. The second layer is URL branding and transparency. When a user points their smartphone camera at a QR code, the native software in 2026, whether it is iOS 19 or the latest Android build, typically shows a preview of the destination URL before the user clicks to proceed. If that preview shows a string of random characters or a generic, unbranded short link like bit.ly or tinural, the trust level drops. A savvy user knows that obscured links are often used to hide malicious redirects. In a professional masterclass environment, we advocate for the use of custom-branded domains. Instead of a generic link, the preview should read something like https://www.google.com/search?q=scan.robertinsurance.com or https://www.google.com/search?q=yourbrand.com. By using a subdomain of your primary business website, you are providing a digital signature of authenticity. This tells the user that they are staying within the safe boundaries of a brand they already recognize. Technical security is the third and most non-negotiable layer. In 2026, every single destination link must be secured with a robust SSL certificate, ensuring that the connection is HTTPS. Most modern browsers will now block or display a massive red warning screen for any non-secured HTTP link, which is a total conversion killer. However, the advanced strategy involves more than just a basic certificate. You should implement HSTS, or HTTP Strict Transport Security, which forces browsers to only communicate with your site over secure connections. Case studies from the financial services sector in 2025 indicated that even a minor security warning during the redirection process led to an 85% abandonment rate. For someone like Robert in the insurance industry, where he is dealing with sensitive client questions, this level of technical hygiene is the difference between a professional operation and a perceived scam. Let us look at a scenario involving a local credit union in Austin, Texas, led by a branch manager named Sarah. In 2026, Sarah wants to place QR codes inside the branch to help members download their mobile banking app or watch educational videos on 2026 investment trends. Because financial institutions are high-value targets for hackers, Sarah uses what is known as a verified QR frame. This is a design standard where the QR code is surrounded by a border that includes a holographic-style seal or a specific brand watermark that is difficult to replicate with a simple home printer. She also includes a small line of text beneath the code that says, "This code only links to https://www.google.com/search?q=official-credit-union-site.com." This transparency educates the user and builds a sense of security. When Sarah's team conducted an internal audit, they found that members were 60% more likely to scan a code that explicitly stated its destination and displayed a trust seal compared to a naked code. Another critical component is the use of real-time monitoring and anti-tamper alerts. Professional dynamic QR platforms in 2026 offer features that monitor for anomalous scan behavior. If a QR code that is supposed to be in a coffee shop in Seattle suddenly starts receiving thousands of scans from IP addresses located in a different country, the system can automatically disable the link and send an alert to the business owner. This prevents your business from being used as a pawn in a larger botnet or phishing scheme. Furthermore, some high-end signage companies are now offering tamper-evident QR plates. These are made of specialized materials that change color or display a void pattern if someone attempts to peel them off or place a sticker over them. For a business with permanent outdoor installations, this physical security measure is a powerful trust signal to the public. To implement a trust-first strategy, follow this step-by-step security audit for your business. Step 1. Verify that your QR service provider offers custom domain masking and high-level encryption. Step 2. Ensure every destination URL is HTTPS, and that your redirect page loads in under 500 milliseconds to avoid the appearance of a hijacked connection. Step 3. Design your marketing materials so the QR code is an integrated, high-resolution graphic, not a sticker. Step 4. Include a clear printed call to action that describes exactly what the user will see, such as, "Scan for our 2026 product catalog." Step 5. Periodically physically inspect your codes in the real world to ensure no one has placed a malicious sticker over your legitimate advertisement. Imagine if every interaction with your brand felt like entering a secure, premium environment. When you prioritize security, you aren't just protecting the user. You are positioning yourself as an industry leader who cares about customer safety. In the United States, where data privacy is a top-of-mind issue for voters and consumers alike, being the business that takes QR security seriously is a massive competitive advantage. You are moving from a state of vulnerability to a state of authority. The potential outcomes for businesses that master the security and trust signaling of QR codes are significant. You will see higher engagement from older, more cautious demographics, and a lower rate of bounce-backs from security-conscious younger users. But trust is only the foundation. Once you have convinced the user that it is safe to scan, you enter the world of data. You have successfully brought them through the digital fortress, and now you need to know exactly what they did, how long they stayed, and what they are worth to your business. How do you translate a simple scan into a hard ROI figure? How do you use the advanced analytics of 2026 to see exactly which flyer in which neighborhood is driving the most revenue? In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into the high-stakes world of advanced analytics and ROI tracking. We will discuss the specific metrics that matter, the difference between a vanity scan and a conversion scan, and how to use the data to scale your business with mathematical precision. We are moving from the psychology of trust to the logic of profit, and the numbers are about to tell a very interesting story. The numbers are about to tell a very interesting story. In the world of 2026 marketing, if you cannot measure it, it does not exist. You are no longer flying blind in the physical world. For decades, the greatest frustration for American business owners was the inability to track the return on investment of a billboard, a flyer, or a business card. You knew people were seeing them, but you had no logical way to prove which specific piece of paper led to a sale. That era is over. By integrating advanced analytics into your social media QR strategy, you are turning every physical object into a high-fidelity data point. To scale your business with mathematical precision, you must understand the hierarchy of metrics, moving from vanity scans to attributed revenue. Historical trends in 2025 showed that businesses that ignored their scan analytics had a 40% higher waste in their marketing budget compared to those who used data to optimize their physical placements. We begin this deep dive into the logic of profit with the distinction between raw scans and unique scans. A raw scan count tells you the total number of times your code was activated. This is a vanity metric. If one person scans your code 5 times because they are having trouble with their internet connection, your raw data is inflated. A unique scan count, however, identifies the individual device. This is your true reach. If you see high raw scans but low unique scans, it is a technical signal that your landing page might be loading too slowly, or your destination is confusing, causing users to try again. Imagine a business owner named Tyler who operates a high-growth landscaping and outdoor living company in San Diego called Emerald Vista. In early 2026, Tyler invested in high-quality vehicle wraps for his fleet of 6 trucks. On the rear of each truck, he placed a large dynamic QR code with a call to action. Scan to see our 2026 backyard transformations on YouTube. Tyler did not just use one code for all 6 trucks. He used 6 different dynamic links, one for each vehicle. By doing this, Tyler created a localized competition. After 30 days, his dashboard showed that truck number 3, which handled the coastal routes in La Jolla, had 4 times the unique scans of truck number 6, which stayed in the inland valleys. This data allowed Tyler to make a logical business decision. He reallocated his door hanger marketing budget specifically to the coastal neighborhoods because the data proved that his brand resonated more deeply with that specific demographic. The potential outcome of this data-driven shift was a 25% increase in high-ticket leads without spending an extra dollar on advertising. To achieve this level of precision, you must master the use of UTM parameters. UTM stands for Urchin Tracking Module, and it is the standard for digital tracking in 2026. When you create the destination link for your dynamic QR code, You do not just use your social media URL. You append a string of tracking code to the end of it. For example, your link might look like your website.com/Instagram $UTM_source =$UTM_West_side $UTM_UTM_campaign =summer_promo. When a user scans that code, your Google Analytics 4 or your social media dashboard sees exactly where that user came from. This allows you to compare the effectiveness of a flyer in a coffee shop versus a sign in a park. Let us look at a case study involving a boutique fitness brand in Denver named Aura Move, owned by a professional named Brenda. In 2026, Brenda used QR codes to drive traffic to her Instagram Reels. She placed codes in 2 different environments, on the back of her staff's t-shirts and on the water bottle filling stations at a local park. By using UTM parameters, Brenda discovered that while the park signs got more total scans, the t-shirt scans had a 70% higher follow rate. The logic was clear. The people who scanned her staff shirts had already seen the brand in action and were more likely to convert. Brenda then decided to stop paying for the park signage and instead invested in more high-quality, branded apparel for her most loyal members to wear around the city. She used the data to move her money from a high-volume, low-intent channel to a low-volume, high-intent channel. The next level of analytics is geographical mapping. Modern dynamic QR platforms provide a heat map of where your scans are occurring. In 2026, mobile devices provide generalized location data during the scan process. This is invaluable for service-based businesses. If you are a plumber, a real estate agent, or a mobile car detailer, seeing a cluster of scans in a specific zip code tells you exactly where your next direct mail campaign should be targeted. You are no longer guessing which neighborhoods are interested in your services. The customers are literally lighting up a map for you. We also have to discuss the concept of the conversion funnel. A scan is just the top of the funnel. To calculate real ROI, you must track what happens after the scan. This is where you integrate your QR data with your social media shop or your website's checkout. In 2026, we use tracking pixels to follow the user from the physical scan to the final purchase. If a customer scans your code on a product box, follows your TikTok, and then 3 weeks later buys a product through your TikTok shop, a professional analytics setup will attribute that sale back to the original physical QR scan. This is called multi-touch attribution. It allows you to see the long-term value of a single sticker or sign. Historical trends in the U.S. retail sector show that customers who engage with a brand via a QR code have a 15% higher lifetime value or LTV, because the physical-to-digital journey creates a stronger brand memory. Another critical metric is the time of day and day of week analysis. If you run a restaurant or a retail store, knowing that 80% of your social media scans happen between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Thursdays allows you to optimize your content. You can ensure that your latest Instagram story or YouTube short is posted exactly at 5:55 p.m., so it is the first thing those scanners see when they land on your profile. This is how you synchronize your physical world presence with the digital world's algorithms. Let us look at the math of cost per acquisition or CPA. To find your true ROI, you take the total cost of your QR campaign, which includes the printing costs, the design fees, and the monthly subscription for your dynamic QR platform. You then divide that by the number of successful conversions, whether that is a new follower, an email subscriber, or a sale. Imagine if it costs you $500 to print and distribute 1,000 high-end flyers with a QR code. If those flyers generate 200 scans and result in 20 new customers with an average order value of $100, you have generated $2,000 in revenue from a $500 investment. That is a 4-to-1 return. With this data in hand, you can confidently scale your operation, knowing that for every dollar you put into that specific flyer campaign, you are likely to see $4 back. But there is a trap that many American businesses fall into: the trap of the broken loop. You can have the best data in the world, but if you do not use it to iterate, the data is just noise. If you see that your YouTube QR codes are getting scans but 0 watch time, you need to look at your video's hook. If you see that your Instagram QR codes are getting scans but 0 follows, you need to look at your profile bio. The data is a diagnostic tool that tells you exactly where your marketing engine is leaking. As we master these advanced analytics, we are reaching the pinnacle of our masterclass. You have the tech, the design, the security, and the data. You have built a bridge that is safe, beautiful, and measurable. But the world of 2026 does not stand still. Technology is evolving, and the way consumers interact with the physical world is about to undergo another massive shift. What is the next frontier for QR codes? How do you stay ahead of the curve as augmented reality and wearable tech begin to merge with your physical marketing? In the final part of this masterclass, we are going to look into the future of 2027 and beyond. We will discuss how to future-proof your business, the integration of AI-driven QR experiences, and the final step-by-step checklist to ensure your business stays at the top of the viral wave. Are you ready to see where the bridge leads next? The bridge leads to a reality where the boundary between a physical object and a digital experience has completely dissolved. As we look toward the horizon of 2027, we are entering the era of spatial marketing. In 2026, the QR code has evolved from a simple shortcut into a sophisticated anchor for augmented reality, or AR. This is the next frontier for your social media strategy. Historical trends show that consumers are no longer satisfied with passive consumption. They want immersive interaction. When a customer points their phone at your QR code in 2027, they will not just see a video or a profile. They will see a three-dimensional digital overlay that exists within their physical environment. Imagine a business owner named Emily, who runs a high-end interior design firm in Seattle. In late 2026, Emily places QR codes on her physical mood boards and fabric samples. When a client scans the code, their smartphone or AR glasses do not just open a YouTube link. Instead, an AR model of a fully furnished room appears on their screen, mapped directly onto the client's actual living room. The client can walk around the digital furniture, see how the light hits the fabric in their own space, and then tap a floating Instagram button to see a reel of Emily explaining the design choices for that specific piece. This is the potential outcome of merging AR with social media QR codes. It transforms a static consultation into a high-tech, interactive experience that justifies a premium price point. To prepare for this shift, you must understand the technical transition from 2D destinations to 3D assets. Most social media platforms, including TikTok and Instagram, have already integrated AR development kits like Effect House and Spark AR. In 2026 and 2027, you can link your QR code directly to an AR filter or a 3D object hosted on these platforms. This means your physical marketing materials become the portal to a digital world that you control. A case study from a national footwear brand in 2025 demonstrated that customers were 40% more likely to share a social media post if it involved an AR try-on experience triggered by a QR code on the shoe box. This is the ultimate viral loop. The physical product drives the digital content, which in turn drives social sharing and brand awareness. The second major shift we are seeing as we head into 2027 is the rise of AI-driven QR personalization. Until now, a QR code led to the same destination for everyone who scanned it. But with the integration of artificial intelligence and real-time data, we are moving toward dynamic destinations that change based on the user's context. Imagine a restaurant chain in Chicago using a single QR code on their outdoor signage. If a user scans that code at 8 a.m., the AI detects the time and the user's localized weather data. If it is a cold Tuesday morning, the code automatically redirects the user to an Instagram story showcasing the morning coffee and breakfast pastry specials. If the same user scans the same code on a hot Friday afternoon, the AI redirects them to a YouTube short featuring the summer cocktail menu and live music schedule. This level of hyperrelevance is what the 2027 consumer will expect. You are no longer serving a generic message. You are serving a personal solution. We must also consider the impact of wearable technology. By 2026, smart glasses from major US tech companies have moved from niche gadgets to mainstream accessories. For a user wearing smart glasses, the act of scanning a QR code is even more frictionless than using a phone. They simply look at the code, and the digital destination appears in their line of sight. This means your physical placement strategy, the line of sight rule we discussed in Part 7, becomes even more critical. If your code is not placed where a person naturally looks, it will remain invisible to the wearable tech ecosystem. We are seeing historical trends where businesses that optimize for head-up displays see a 20% higher engagement rate than those sticking to traditional mobile-first placements. As we conclude this deep dive masterclass, it is time to solidify your knowledge with the final masterclass checklist. This is your roadmap to ensuring your business stays at the top of the viral wave. Step 1. Audit your current codes. Are they static or dynamic? If they are static, you are at risk of broken links. Transition to a professional dynamic platform immediately to ensure you have control over your data and your destinations. Step 2. Deep link every social media destination. Do not force your users to log in through a mobile browser. Use protocols that open the native Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube apps directly to ensure a frictionless follow. Step 3. Elevate your design. Use Level H error correction to integrate your logo and brand colors. Ensure your quiet zone is respected and your contrast ratio is high. A beautiful code is a trusted code. Step 4. Optimize your placement. Follow the 10:1 ratio in the line of sight rule. Place your codes in wait-state environments like elevators, transit stops, and checkout lines where consumers are looking for a digital escape. Step 5. Secure your bridge. Use custom-branded subdomains and ensure every link is HTTPS. Periodically inspect your physical codes for tampering to maintain the trust of your community. Step 6. Analyze and iterate. Use UTM parameters to track the ROI of every flyer, truck wrap, and storefront window. Look past the vanity scans and focus on unique users and attributed conversions. If the data shows a specific location is underperforming, do not be afraid to change the destination or the physical placement. This is a scientific process, not a guessing game. Step 7. Future-proof with AR and AI. Start experimenting with AR filters on social media, and look for ways to make your QR destinations more interactive and contextually relevant as we move into 2027. The journey from a physical square to a digital community is the most powerful marketing tool of the modern era. We have seen through numerous case studies that the businesses that win are not the ones with the biggest budgets, but the ones who remove the most friction for their customers. Every scan is a handshake, every destination is a conversation, and every data point is a lesson. You now have the full 10-part blueprint to dominate your local market and build a brand that lives in the physical and digital world simultaneously. But remember, the technology is just the vehicle. Your brand's voice is the driver. A QR code can get someone to your profile, but only high-quality, authentic content will make them stay. You have built the bridge. Now you must ensure that what is on the other side is worth the journey. The American market is moving fast, and the window of opportunity to be an early adopter of these advanced strategies is closing. Those who implement these lessons today will be the legacy brands of tomorrow. You have mastered the art of the social media QR code. But what about the content itself? How do you ensure that once they scan, the video they see is so compelling that they have no choice but to buy? In our next masterclass series, we are going to dive into the high-retention video framework for 2026. We will look at the exact script structures that keep viewers watching for over 10 minutes, the psychological triggers that drive comments and shares, and the secret to the 3-second hook that stops the scroll every single time. The bridge is built. Now let us talk about the destination. Are you ready to create content that converts at a world-class level?